describe to us what the stereotypical image of traditional cricket is?
Oh, what a question. Traditional cricket is cucumber sandwiches, cup of tea, scones.
Very quiet, very appreciative of the game.
It used to be the preserve of the rich and the well-to-do, sit in the nice seats and watch English cricket.
So is that how you describe the Barmy Army?
Absolutely not. Barmy Army's a cricket supporters club, the biggest and best in the world.
It's a lot livelier, a bit of singing.
A group of people that know each other with the common goal of let's support the team, but let's do it in an active, funny, passionate way.
It really doesn't matter which stand you're in, but when you're with the Barmy Army, we're going to entertain ourselves.
It's a community and a club full of people from all walks of life.
Taking the mickey out of ourselves.
It's a big community, you know. People go on Barmy Army tours to meet up with old friends and they look out for each other. It's been like that for the last 30 years.
As a youngster, I just loved cricket. I always wanted to watch the Ashes in Australia. I had a job, they made me redundant, took the redundancy, headed off around the world. Plan was always to get to Australia just before the first test. Booked into the nearest backpackers, head to the Gabba first day. We'd go on there with so much enthusiasm, wanted to sing so many songs, but pretty hard to sing when you're getting stuffed.
Got him! Well, that's magnificently bowled. Taylor had a word with him, and he has...
So I thought, come on, I can start a song. So I tried that football classic, England, England, England. Not one person joined in with me.
I saw Dave in Brisbane. We were over one side of the ground and there was a lively area full of Aussies that were very vocal, to be fair, right from the word go. And Dave, in his wisdom, decided to pretend they had a ball and chain on and walk past very slowly, singing.
We came here with our backpacks, you with ball and chains, ball and chain.
He did that every day at Brisbane by himself, day one. There was 2 or 3 of them, day 2. They'd get covered in beer and just would ignore it.
We weren't going to turn back, but we'd started something. We had some momentum, we had a group, we had a song that made people laugh. We just carried on from there. I went into a rugby league sports shop in King's Cross, took a design, printed them up.
I think Dave did about 500 of them and I certainly bought 6 or 7. What I realised early on is I wanted to wear something that was going to make a statement. So wearing that shirt for me was everything.
Obviously, we want to see our team win, but in those days, England typically were losing. We lost to Australia, Australia A, Zimbabwe. We became a Barmy Army because there were hundreds of us, and obviously Barmy, because we were watching a losing team. The Australian media really liked us. In Bendigo, when we were playing Victoria, about 20 of us decided, right, we're going to watch the 3-day game. And we arrived in Bendigo. It was unbelievable. The local newspaper on the day of the game, Barmy Army comes to Bendigo on the front page. There was a free poster. Kids were coming up to us at the game and asking us to sign. The chairman of the club gave us club ties and club caps. It was just surreal. We'd go out at the end of the test match and we were chatting in the bar to Dean Jones and wanting to know our story. This is unbelievable. We were just lads following the England cricket team. Barmy Army was the name that was synonymous with all of us by the time we got to Adelaide.
Michael Atherton is there as skipper. There's Gooch and Gadding.
We were making more noise, more of us watching. It was a great way of us producing a T-shirt.
I said to Dave, why don't we do one with Barmy Army on the front and then a map on the back? And we took orders, I think, for 70 or 80 people. Well, as soon as people saw the shirt, everybody suddenly wanted it. We ended up producing something like 1,500 to 2,000 items.
They wanted caps, they wanted stubby holders, they wanted polo shirts. Could not print the merchandise quickly enough.
It was very much about trying to get all of those individual people to be part of this amazing group called the Barmy Army. It was just a buzz. We felt as a group that we'd made a difference. We felt as a group that the England team knew we were there supporting them. There was a real collective agreement, I guess, between us that we're supporting this England cricket team, whatever happens.
There's real momentum, and there's the crowd are with the players sense that they've got a real chance of victory.
6 overs remaining here at the Adelaide Oval. Devon Malcolm is back on.
The Barmy Army runs onto the ground. And
So, certainly in Adelaide, when we won that Test match, you'd have thought we'd won the Ashes, not just won a Test.
But we went to Perth in the final test and got stuffed. We were one, we were united, and that was a moment then we realised, blimey, we really are onto something here.
There was a real, let's go home, let's follow England. Where's next?
So after 94-95, what was it you wanted to do next?
To try and replicate what we did in Australia, but the reality was we were very naive.
Immediate thoughts were, let's look into South Africa. We promoted that tour, we took about 50 people. We were optimistic, but certainly not confident.
I'd met Kerry when I came back from Australia, fell in love, but I wasn't able to carry on. It just couldn't stack up financially for me. It was totally down to Paul to carry on.
We went disastrously with this travel company, Barmy Army on safari, which was a disaster when we got there.
Quite hard to organise T-shirts in a different country and move them around when you don't have cars.
So we learnt a tough lesson. It's been a challenge financially, yeah.
There's been people who've helped us. Too many to mention, but if I had to mention one.
Describe Giles Wellington.
Ledge.
1998, Adelaide. Day one, 42 degrees, which is when I first met the General, David Peacock. I hung around, listened to the songs, had a few drinks, joined in, and that was it. I was hooked.
Great at singing, great at organising events, and his rapport with the players took a new level.
I probably admit to my character, personality is a little bit more cautious. I was always conscious that the perception of the Barmy Army was not necessarily the reality, so I spent a lot of time nurturing people that were coming in for their first tour and sort of encouraged them to support in a positive manner. That was quite a passion of mine. As Dave focused on the Australian side of things, I took on that mantle.
Travel we didn't start until 06-07, and we only did that because the margin that a lot of these travel companies were charging was high. So we tried to cut that margin right down to our own detriment. For example, I had 2,500 tickets that I remember laying out in my mum's front room, sorting them out into envelopes to give them to people ready to go to the Ashes. We had to be a travel company, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get a group together.
Is there a particular moment in your mind where it all nearly went wrong?
Oh, goodness.
It was a disaster. We partnered with a company called Travel and Tours Anywhere Limited. They took that name a bit literally, and they did send our clients all over the place.
At the time, it felt that we were going from one chaotic moment into another.
There was tickets that we thought we had, we didn't have. Everybody that booked 2-star seemed to get 4-star and didn't mention it. Everyone that booked 4-star seemed to get 2-star and did mention it.
It was firefighting, it was absolutely crisis management. All of us throwing in money that we didn't have just to make sure that we could get every fan into the ground and somewhere to stay.
I was actually on my honeymoon on that particular tour, trying to juggle being the perfect new husband whilst also getting enough money in from selling T-shirts to use that money to pay for hotels.
And we got a front page story on the Sunday Telegraph, Barmy Army in crisis. And on the back of that press coverage, we got a guy called James Greenbury who offered to come in and help. He'd seen what we'd done with the Barmy Army, he really liked it, and he was kind enough to invest some money. So without James's investment, there's absolutely no way Barmy Army would have continued.
We learned an awful lot from that experience. Yeah, it was challenging.
It was a tough time, but we got through it in Barmy Army style. 2009, we'd won the Ashes over here, so we were going into the series needing to retain them.
We hadn't won the Ashes in Australia since 86, 87.
There's a lot of excitement, a lot of expectation to make sure that we were able to give the support that was hopefully going to make a difference.
And there were thousands of us there. Melbourne Test, Boxing Day, and on day one, England bowl Australia out for 98 runs. It was incredible. Everyone was behind the Barmy Army. Everyone wanted to join in with the singing.
My preparation was very much in trying to create some songs.
Take the Urn Home was the classic song. Gilo standing up, singing that, and thousands of people joining in. Different class, different class. To cap it all off, we won in Sydney to win the series 3-1. Right, I will never, ever forget that. This is a victory shirt, so really, really special. 2010, 11, we won at the MCG. The best day that I've ever had, Boxing Day. Got to be one of my favourites.
The Barmy Army is more than just a group of backpackers.
It's like its own community. You've got people there that you know that where you're going to be sat in the ground, you know who you're going to be sat with. You might not see them for 12 months, but it's more than just watching cricket. You know, it is a real community. First ever came across the Barmy Army in about 2005. England were touring South Africa. Joe and Billy were quite small. We took them in the Barmy Army for an afternoon, and that was really my first experience of the Barmy Army. Party, cricket, what's not to like? I was on a flight from Adelaide to Perth, and I got sat next to a guy, and he said he'd been playing for the Barmy Army at cricket against the Australian Fanatics. And I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. And he gave me Paul Burnham's phone number.
I was actually on the plane coming into Perth and had a phone call.
And I said, you know, you've got some real commercial potential with this thing, Paul. I think he just needed a bit of advice, a bit of, you know, commercial savvy.
Matt and I hit it off straight away, which is unusual for a Southerner and a Yorkie. Having someone that's got a business brain that you respect, that understands cricket, was a really nice add-on for me. We had an office round the back of where I used to live, 3-4 chairs in there, a few computers. We were able to manage what we needed to do, but it did the job, right?
It was chaos. It needed a complete overhaul.
So, Chris, how did you end up running the Barmy Army?
It's tricky. It's where to start. It all started back when I was having a chat to Billy Root, Joe Root's brother, Matt Root's son.
Billy went to university in Leeds and met Chris there. I think Billy slept on his sofa for quite a lot of the first term.
And we were talking about Joe just breaking into the England team. And he said, you know, you can work for the Barmy Army. What are those fellas that sing all the songs in the stand? 2 weeks later, I was starting my work placement with the Barmy Army.
Chris was brought in originally to look at the rugby side of things. And then I realised that, you know, Chris really was passionate.
Me and Paul became really close friends, and as I guess, slowly evolved in the business side of the Barmy Army, he built more trust in me and faith. It's been an incredible journey.
A young lad, very level-headed, great listener.
He was commercially switched on. He could think on his feet, he could make the right decisions under pressure. He was just the sort of person that the Barmy Army needed, really, to take it to the next level.
In 2018, we tried to make it the first digital tour where we increased social media followers. We got back to London, we decided that things needed to change. I put a proposal to Paul and to the board. I want to take this thing over, I want to move it forward.
And I wanted this to carry on. Dying off with me and Dave isn't what the journey of Barmy Army should be.
And to my absolute horror, the board said yes.
To continue the Barmy Army, it needed some youth, some enthusiasm, some energy, and that's what Chris and his team have been able to bring.
Paul gave me this amazing opportunity to work with the Barmy Army, and I'll never forget that. I always thank him for that, and we've shared so many memories over the years.
I'm very proud of the fact that he has stuck with it and that we're able to chat and laugh about some of the challenges and concentrate on the bigger challenges.
Something that I always wanted to do was to rebrand the Barmy Army to bring it into the digital age. We were looking at what does this brand look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So we decided to do a rebrand, and the fun really started.
The rebrand was obviously frowned upon by a lot of the old guard.
Taking the St George's Cross out of a brand that had been around for 20 years definitely opened the floodgates to some online abuse.
You do need to be thick-skinned. You know, it's part of the job.
There's always going to be people nervous. Maybe they don't like the fact there's a youngster who's at the helm when they've been involved with Barmy Army for a long time.
I can see why he did it, and it seems to have worked.
Looking back, it's definitely stood the test of time. We've got a far bigger membership database. The numbers are insane, so it certainly worked. And then project number 2 was digital transformation. We focused on, originally, Facebook and Twitter, trying to grow the impressions, the data, the following was absolutely priority number 1, and then Instagram. And then we also looked to launch the podcast.
Hello and a very warm welcome.
Myself, James Gregg and Jack Brooks launched The Shackles Are Off. We sat round and spoke to cricketers about their journey in cricket, and suddenly that just snowballed and got more traction. It's been pretty eye-opening to see how many followers and how many fans we have globally. Germany, Norway, I think it was like Puerto Rico are somewhere absolutely baffling. I think we got like 1.5 million downloads, which was like 1.5 million people.
All I was doing really was just putting out some content to get people involved, and ended up singing at the SCG. A couple of years later, somebody thought it would be a good idea to put it on Facebook. Believe it or not, it's got about 5 million views now, which is outrageous.
And so we've gone from 90,000 that was on Facebook and Twitter back then to just over 2 million now.
I think he's taken Barmy Army to a different level, he really has.
Some of the old guard will still frown, and it's not the same as it was, but the Barmy Army is definitely moving forward and in safe hands as far as I can see.
So would you say that the membership of the Barmy Army is quite unique?
Oh yes, there's plenty of characters. I would always say that anybody in the Barmy Army needed to be Barmy.
Eccentric.
Fanatical, making it fun, making it entertaining, supporting the team through thick and thin. All the best things, really, about watching sport.
It's a bit of a cliche, but there's certainly people from all sorts of walks of life.
They are so unique. There's been so many characters that have played a role in the Barmy Army over the years. It'd be impossible to name everyone, but there are a few characters that spring to mind.
Lucky Mark, Chardonnay, Big Chaz, Kinky Ken from Merthyr. I've got to be careful here.
The General, Chopper, Streaky.
Gilo, Bales, Blades.
Nice Graham, Norfolk Graham.
Billy the Trumpet. I wonder why they called him that. Big John, there's Mo Murray, there's Adge.
Wooders, PC Dave, Monty.
Yorkshire Gav, God bless him.
As long as you've got the one value of being there to support the England team, then you're in as far as I'm concerned.
How important are the songs to Barmy Army?
Oh, mate, everything. The songs is everything.
I think we've been very lucky. Ever since we started, there's some very, very talented people.
I've come up with lots of songs. 1 or 2 have become very, very popular. One Night in Calcutta, which is Joe Root.
The Alan Donald song, the Sean Pollock song.
Shake It Up Woody, that was a belter.
My favourite Barmy Army song, actually, was a guy called Mike Carberry. The song was, he's a mode of transportation and a little bit of fruit. Carberry, Carberry.
My favourite song of all time is the simplest song, Mitchell Johnson.
Every great brand, every great sports team has a mascot and an iconic figure, and I guess our mascot and our iconic figure has always been the trumpet player.
Without them, the Barmy Army would never have been as successful.
Having a trumpet is a game changer. Best thing I've ever done in the Barmy Army was ask Bill to be full-time with us.
I suppose brass neck to stand up there in a cricket stadium and be the lone voice. He was the first to do it. Obviously, Finchy's taken on the mantle now and contributed an awful lot to what the Barmy is now.
I am Finchy, real name Simon Finch. Well, I've been a Test cricket fan since I was a teenager, and being a professional trumpet player, I've always been aware of the trumpet at the cricket. I always thought I'd love to do that. But he's never going to step down because it's got to be the best gig ever. And then, newsflash.
The Barmy Army now has a vacancy for a trumpeter. After 16 years of belting out the hits for the Barmy Army, the time has come to focus on family.
I sent an email to info@barmyarmy.com saying, yeah, are you looking for a trumpet player to replace Billy? Have you got any ideas? And I got an email that evening from Chris. We had a meeting. Yeah, he said, OK, you're in.
And on the songs, tell us about Jerusalem.
I love it. Every time I hear it, it's hairs on the back of my neck. Song at my wedding. So very personal for me, but I'd like to think very personal for everybody now.
From around the ground, all the different tour groups will come over to the Barmy Army and sing with us.
I mean, how can you look past Jerusalem? It always gives me goosebumps on the back of my neck every time that we sing that.
I can remember Joe's first ever Ashes match. As Joe and Cookie were walking down the steps to go out and open the batting for England, the red arrows flew overhead and the Barmy Army was singing Jerusalem, and it was one of those moments where, you know, I just started to well up. You know, it was an incredible moment. But yeah, Barmy Army's always been a big part of my experience in watching Joe play for England.
The amazing thing is, I guess especially from the Barmy Army, is when we're in someone else's backyard, we've got thousands of Barmy Army there supporting us, there's no better feeling really than that. It's such an important thing for us to have, and I think the tight-knit groups that you develop and the friendships that you gain along the way, I'll always think is very, very important and something I'll always cherish.
It sounds a cliche, but it's one big family really. We share in the same passion of being cricket lovers. And it's a bit of an addiction, but a fun one.
The mission statement was to make cricket fun and much more popular, and do you know what, in 30 years we've achieved that.
Without Dave, it wouldn't have started. I wouldn't have taken it on and moved it forward. So thanks, Dave, I think.
I had absolutely no intention of selling T-shirts or creating the Barmy Army or being part of the Barmy Army. But incredibly proud it has got to where it is, and very, very thankful for all those people who've helped us along the way.
You know, all the independent travellers, all the people that have ever sung a song for England or sat with us or bought a T-shirt, thank you very much.
Hopefully we can encourage many more people to follow us.
As long as Test cricket's around, the Barmy Army will be around.
I think they knew they had something special back in '94, '95. I know Paul, Dave and other people have put so much on the line in keeping this brand alive. Here's to 30 more years of this bloody good thing.
Keep having fun, keep being passionate, and continue being Barmy, really.